What a nice day. The sun is shining, the birds are singing, and wait, what's that smell?
I love the smell of
That's right, my friends. Today we're talking about one of the most well-known fighter in the Vietnam War, the F-4 Phantom. The McDonnell Douglas F-4 Phantom II is a tandem, two-seat, twin-engine, all-weather, long-range supersonic jet interceptor and a fighter bomber, originally developed for the United States Navy by McDonnell Douglas aircraft. It first entered service in 1960 with the Navy, proving highly adaptable. It was also adopted by the United States Marine Corps and the United States Air Force, and by the mid-1960s had become a major part of their air arms. The Phantom is a large fighter with a top speed of over Mach 2.2. It can carry more than 18,000 pound, 8,400 kg of weapons on 9 external hardpoints, including air-to-air missiles, air-to-ground missiles, and various types of bombs. The F-4, like other interceptors of its time, was initially designed without an internal cannon. Later models incorporated an M61 rotary cannon. Beginning in 1959, it set 15 world records for in-flight performance, including an absolute speed record and an absolute altitude record. The F-4 was used extensively during the Vietnam War. It served as a principal air superiority fighter for the United States Air Force, Navy, and Marine Corps, and became important in the ground attack and aerial reconnaissance role late in the war. During the Vietnam War, 1 U.S. Air Force pilot, 2 weapons system officer, 1 U.S. Navy pilot, 1 radar intercept officer became aces by achieving 5 aerial kills against enemy fighter aircrafts. The F-4 continued to form a major part of U.S. military air power throughout the 1970s and 1980s, being gradually replaced by more modern aircraft such as the F-15 Eagle and the F-16 Fighting Falcon in the U.S. Air Force, the F-14 Tomcat in the U.S. Navy, and the F-A-18 Hornets. In the U.S. Navy and U.S. Marine Corps, the F-4 Phantom II remained in use by the U.S. in the reconnaissance and wild weasel roles in the 1991 Gulf War, finally leaving service in 1996. It was also the only aircraft used by both U.S. Flight Demonstration Team, the United States Air Force Thunderbirds, and the United States Navy Blue Angels. The F-4 was also operated by armed forces of 11 other nations. Israeli Phantom saw extensive combat in several Arab-Israeli conflicts, while Iran used its large fleet of Phantoms acquired before the fall of Shah in the Iran-Iraq War. Phantom production ran from 1958 to 1981, with a total of 5,195 built, making it the most produced American supersonic military aircraft. As of 2020, 62 years after its first flight. The F-4 remains in service with Iran, Japan, South Korea, Greece, and Turkey. The aircraft has most recently been in service against the Islamic State group in the Middle East. The development of the F-4 Phantom began in 1952. McDonnell's chief of aerodynamics, Dave Lewis, was appointed by CEO Jim McDonnell to be the company's preliminary design manager. With no new aircraft competition on the horizon, internal studies concluded the Navy had the greatest need for a new and different aircraft type, an attack fighter. In 1953, McDonnell Aircraft began work on revising its F-3H Demon naval fighter, seeking expanded capabilities and better performance. The company developed several projects, including a variant powered by a Wright J67 engine and variant powered by 2 Wright J65 engines, or 2 General Electric J79 engines. The J79 version promised a top speed of Mach 1.97. On the 19th of September 1953, McDonnell approached the United States Navy with a proposal for the Super Demon. Uniquely, the aircraft was to be modular, as it could be fitted with 1 or 2 seat nose for different missions, with different nose cones to accommodate radar, photo cameras, 420mm cannons, or 56 FFAR unguided rockets, in addition to 9 hardpoint under its wing and fuselage. The Navy was sufficiently interested to order a full-scale mock-up of the F-3H-G-H, but felt that the upcoming Grumman XF9F-9 and Vought XFAU-1 already satisfied the need for a supersonic fighter. The McDonnell design was therefore reworked into an all-weather fighter bomber with 11 external hardpoint for weapon, and on the 18th of October 1954, the company received a letter of intent for 2 YAH-1 prototypes. Then on the 26th of May 1955, 4 Navy officers arrived at the McDonnell office, and within an hour presented the company with an entirely new set of requirements. Because the Navy already had the Douglas A-4 Skyhawk for ground attack and F-8 Crusaders for dogfighting, the project now had to fulfill the need for an all-weather fleet defense interceptor. A second crewman was added to operate the powerful radar early in production. Early in production, the radar was upgraded to a Westinghouse AN-APQ-72 and AN-APG-50 with a large radar antenna, necessitating the bubbler's nose, and the canopy was reworked to improve visibility and make the rear cockpit less claustrophobic. During its career, the Phantom underwent many changes in the form of numerous variants developed. United States Navy operated the F-4H-1, later redesignated as the F-4A in 1962, with the J79-GE-2 and -2A engines of 16,100 pound force thrust, and later builds receiving the -8 engines. A total of 45 F-4As were built, non-stop combat, and most ended up as testing or training aircraft. The United States Navy and the United States Marine Corps received the first definitive Phantom, and the F-4B, which was equipped with the Westinghouse APQ-72 radar, a Texas Instruments AAA-4 infrared search and track pod under the nose, an AN-AJB-3 bombing system powered by J79-GE-8 and -8A and -8B engines of 10,900 pound force dry and 16,950 pound force on afterburner. With the first flight on the 25th of March 1961, 649 F-4Bs were built, with deliveries beginning in 1961, and the VF-121 Peacemakers receiving the first example at the Navy Air Station Miramar. The United States Air Force received Phantom as the result of Defense Secretary Robert McNamar's push to create a unified fighter for all branches of the United States military. After an F-4B won the Operation High-Speed Fly-Off against the Convair F-104 Delta Dart, the United States Air Force borrowed 2 naval F-4Bs, temporarily designating them as F-110A Spectre in January of 1962, and developed requirements for their own version. Unlike the US Navy's focus on air-to-air interception and the Fleet Air Defense Mission, the United States Air Force emphasized both an air-to-air and air-to-ground flight bomber role, with McNamar's unification of designation on 18th of September 1962. The Phantom became the F-4, with the naval version designated as the F-4B. The United States Air Force F-4C. The first Air Force Phantom flew on the 27th of May 1963, exceeding Mach 2 on its maiden flight. In United States Air Force service, the F-4 was initially designated the F-110 Spectre prior to the introduction of the 1962 United States Tri-Service Aircraft Designation System. The United States Air Force quickly embraced the design and became the largest Phantom user. The first United States Air Force Phantom in Vietnam were F-4Cs from the 43rd Tactical Fighter Squadron, arrived in December of 1964. Unlike the US Navy, the US Marine Corps, which flew the Phantom with a naval aviator in the front seat and a naval flight officer as a radar interceptor officer in the back seat. The United States Air Force initially flew its Phantoms with a rated Air Force pilot in the front and back seat, while the rear pilot could fly and possibly land the aircraft. He had fewer flight instruments and very restricted forward view. The Air Force later assigned a rated Air Force navigator qualified as a weapons and targeting system officer in the rear seat instead of another pilot. On the 10th of July 1965, F-4Cs of the 45th Tactical Fighter Squadron, renamed the 15th on temporary assignment in Ubon, Thailand, scored the United States Air Force's first victory against the North Vietnamese MiG-17s using AIM-9 Sidewinder air-to-air missiles. On the 26th of April 1966, an F-4C from the 480th Tactical Fighter Squadron scored the first aerial victory by U.S. aircrew over North Vietnamese MiG-21 Fishbacks. On 24th of July 1965, another Phantom from the 45th Tactical Fighter Squadron became the first American aircraft to be downed by an enemy SAM. SAM as in surface-to-air missiles. And on 5th of October 1966, an 8th Tactical Fighter Wing F-4C became the first US jet lost to an air-to-air missile fired by a MiG-21. The United States Air Force and the US Navy had high expectation for the F-4 Phantom, assuming that the massive firepower, the best available onboard radar, highest speed and acceleration priorities, coupled with new tactics, would provide Phantom with an advantage over the MiGs. However, in confrontation with the lighter MiG-21s, F-4s did not always succeed and began to suffer losses over the courses of the air war in Vietnam. Between the 3rd of April 1965 and the 8th of January 1973, each side will ultimately claim favorable kill ratios. From 1966 to November of 1968, in 46 air battles conducted over North Vietnam between F-4s and MiG-21s, the Vietnamese People's Air Force claimed 27 F-4s were shot down by MiG-21s at a cost of 20 MiG-21s. In 1970, one F-4 was shot down by a MiG-21 in 1972. A total of 201 air battles took place between American and Vietnamese airplanes. The Vietnamese People's Air Force lost 54 MiGs and claimed 90 US aircraft were shot down, including 74 F-4 Phantoms and 2 Spy RF-4Cs. The struggle accumulated on the 10th of May 1972, with the Vietnamese People's Air Force completing 64 sorties, resulting in 15 air battles. The Vietnamese People's Air Force claimed 7 F-4 Phantoms shot down, while the US confirmed 5 F-4s were lost. The Phantoms, in turn, managed to destroy 2 MiG-21s, 3 MiG-17s, and 1 MiG-19. On the 11th of May, 2 MiG-21s, which played the role of bait, brought 4 F-4s to the MiG-21 circling at low altitude. The MiGs quickly engaged and shot down the 2 F-4 Phantoms. On 18th of May, Vietnamese aircraft made 26 sorties in 8 air engagements, which caused 4 F-4 Phantoms. Vietnamese fighters on that day did not suffer any losses. The F-4 Phantom also saw service with many other countries including Australia, Egypt, Germany, Iran, Israel, and Japan. Unfortunately, the F-4 Phantom will see the end of its service between 1992 and 2016, with the latest being a targeting drone used by the United States Air Force. Anyways, comrades, I hope you all have enjoyed this video and learned something. Tomorrow, we will be talking about the MiG-23 Flogger. I'll see you all then.